So, another episode of Orphan Black watched, and it's an hour is never enough. An hour is never enough. So I take back what I said about Mud being like very naive and not knowing stuff. She is clearly keeping, well, she is obviously keeping a secret about a mishap of sorts who has perhaps escaped to the woods. It's a little unclear if she let this person of sorts go, or if he had, I guess, clawed his way out. When Cosima is following Mud through the house, they go into the basement, and of course all the lights are off, and she sees the shackle against the wall, and it's shut. So it had to have been freely. That'd be my guess. Anyway, so what's funny is so funny. Just in general, when Cosima's following Mud around, obviously everything looks different in the dark, and obviously I'm finding a plot hole in this, but if you're following someone and then you have to leave, like, just out of the blue, how do you find your way back? Just something to think about. That's all. So anyway, it's very interesting how Sarah is now trusting Mrs. S, in that, you know, they go find this person and it's Virginia, and it took me a minute to remember who Virginia was. I'm like, okay, she looks familiar. She and Sarah obviously got into like a tangle, and who is she? And it's like, oh right, she made the Caster clones. Right, about that. And then poor Ira talking to Susan. He is so in love with her, and she's probably playing him. I'm almost sure of it. But he's just poor Ira. That's all I got to say to that. Oh, and so in the beginning, so last episode, Kira, pulls out a knife, and my theory was whether or not she was gonna cut the rat or cut herself. Well, boom, bam, I was right, cutting herself. But it's not funny, but interesting to note how Sarah sees that. She's like, oh, my arm, oh, let me see what happened. It's like, I cut myself, I wanted to see how fast I would heal. What the heck is going on? Like, Sarah meets up with Helena, which, of course, and they kind of discuss that they have pretty much miracle babies, in that, they heal themselves no matter what happens. So what the heck is in their genes that has that? That's insane. Though it is, I don't know that it's interesting to note, but the fact that Kira doesn't look like anything like Charlotte. Charlotte obviously is genetically cloned, I guess, to look like the other clones, like growing up and then eventually looking like Rachel, or all the other clones. But Kira doesn't look like that. Although I guess it boils down to the fact that Sarah did not engage with another clone, which is probably for the best. That that's why she looks like she does, because she has DNA from the clones, as well as, or special DNA in a sense from Sarah, and the dad. So anyway, trying to think what else is going on. What else happened? It's kind of I feel like it was like a slow episode, but it wasn't, because there was a lot of stuff happening. Felix's sister, of course, shows up out of nowhere, and I still find her irritating, but, she's saying that, oh, we have to go to Switzerland, we have to do that, and this, that, and whatever, and then Mrs. S is like, yeah, we're all in together. It's like, what happens to Kira? Kira cannot stay under Rachel's eye, because that's essentially where she'll go. She can't, if Felix and his sister, whose name I don't remember at the moment, and Sarah and Mrs. S all leave, seriously, what happens to Kira? What is that? Anyway, whatever. Just kind of seeing how this plays out. This whole, like, mysterious island is, I don't even know. Like, obviously there's got to be something in the woods, which they found out is this, well, at least Cosima found out that this is this weird mutant of sorts, and Mud is pretty much playing the, oh yeah, I know nothing, I'm just here. Someone's gonna find out outside of Cosima, or Cosima's gonna say something to someone. The trailer shows Delphine coming back in the next episode, so seeing kind of how that's gonna play out, and we obviously haven't seen Delphine in a while because she was sent on a trip, so having her perhaps come back and getting more information, or Cosima maybe falling into something, I don't know, like, I just feel like I'm getting more and more confused with this entire series, and I'm trying not to look ahead because I know there's only so many episodes in the series, or in the season to end the series, but I'm pretty sure the only way that they're going to be able to end it completely without a cliffhanger of any sort, or a side story, is to blow up the island. Or to have a Hunger Games style, only one remaining. Like, I don't even want to think about that, but that's crossing my mind, that it's like, there's too many things open, and yes, a lot of stuff happens in each episode, but perhaps not enough. I mean, I guess we're only at what, episode 5? I don't even know what episode we're on. What episode are we on? We're on episode 6. 4. Season 5, episode 4, to be exact. So, I don't know. Maybe Kira is going with the family, and I just don't know, and I'm just confused. As I said, I feel like I'm just so confused every time I watch this. It's a good confused. It's a, this hour wasn't enough, and I want to keep watching it. So there you go. That was my sort of review of sorts for this episode. It's more of like a recap and my general thoughts on it. But anyway, until next week, I guess.